we all grew up at Devil's Lake. But I do remember that Joyce's mother and father, every year they would rent a cottage. And the cottages they would rent out, believe it or not, had a tree that went through the roof of the cottage. And so I used to say to my parents, what are we doing here? Especially when it started raining. And my father would say, well, they got a good deal, so that's why they got the cottage. I would say to Joyce, am I missing something here or what? So, but we had a very, very good time. And my brother who's not here was in Arizona. Your mother, your grandmother, actually Joyce's mother, taught him how to swim at Devil's Lake. So, reflecting back and our generation and all the good times that we had, finally we got to the point where she was able to move to Detroit, and my parents at that particular time owned businesses in Detroit and restaurants and bars and so on, which is very typical of most Macedonians. And so we were able to bring Joyce and her family to Detroit, and they lived close by to where our businesses were. And so over the years as we were growing up, we shared a lot of times together. But as you get older, and she lived in Temperance and we were living in Plymouth at the particular time, we just would have conversations where we would talk about different things. And at one point, I told this story the girls don't know about, but it's very cute. Joyce called me one day and she said, Nicky, she said, listen, she said, I met this guy online. So I said, okay, now what? So she said, well, I'm having a good conversation with him. So I said, okay, but I'll tell you what, if you're going to go meet with this guy, I'll come with you. And she said, well, how are we going to do that? I said, well, we'll find a place where you can do it, where you can do it in the daytime. So we came up with, a lot of people don't know, 12 Oaks is a shopping center in Novi, and they have a cheese factory over there. So she said, I'm going to meet him at the cheese factory. So I said, okay, we'll do it in the daytime, and I'll sit at one of the tables close by. So, meantime, I said, keep your phone on. And she said, the girls don't know. So I said, okay, just between you and I said, so if things aren't going good, you give me the signal, and I'll give you a call. In the meantime, I'm sitting at the cheese factory, waitress comes up, she says, can I help you? Well, I can't just sit there without ordering. So I ordered cheese bake and a cup of coffee. That was good for $25. So an hour and a half later, she's still sitting there, and she keeps kind of looking over it, and Len is his name. He doesn't know anything that's going on. And so consequently, after about an hour and a half, I called her on the phone, and I said, listen, I said, I'm done with the coffee, I'm done with the cheesecake. I'm out. So I said, when you get home, call me. All right? And she says, everything is fine, I'm good. She said, I'm really good. So I said, okay. So about 3 or 4 hours later, she called me, and she said, I'm home, and everything turned out fine. And she said, the gentleman was very, very nice. And as a lot of you know, it was Len, and she spent many good years with him. These past couple of years and so on and everything. But I did say to her, I said, listen, if you're going to go back online and you're going to start dating and you're going to meet somebody, make it a Coney Island. And you keep it for me. So she said, that's good. So all I can say is that we were very, very, very fortunate as kids growing up with Macedonian parents and so on. And we had just so many wonderful years together, and you girls were very, very fortunate that she was just the best, you know, and we love her all very much, and we're going to miss her very much. So, yes.
And I'm going to add a small detail, because in visiting with me and Joyce over the last several months, and as everything began to go a certain direction for her, we all were talking to her, especially the girls, talking to her constantly about what did she remember about this and what did she remember fondly about that. And when we asked her about her cousins, my father, Nicky, and his brother Donnie, what do you remember about your cousins? What about the boys? She goes, oh, I love them so much. They're wonderful boys, but they get into lots of mischief. They get into so much mischief. She remembered a couple of particular stories about the mischief they got into, and I know Jennifer texted me, and I'm not going to repeat what she remembered they did, because I did do this, and it was something where we were like, ooh, how big do we do that? It involved some animals. But it was nothing we had ever done, and Dad was like, no, I don't think so. It was just cute because she just said she loved them so much, but they got into lots of mischief. But they're good boys. They're good boys. I'm the youngest. Did you know I'm the youngest? So, it's just a wonderful, wonderful perspective on the love she shared with so many people, her cousins, her friends, her children, her grandchildren, her great-grandchildren. And I oftentimes feel there are people that cross our paths in life that I think of her as a compass, that when I choose who and what I want to be in this world, to the people I love, and to even people I feel indifferent to, I use her as my compass, because what she would do is the right thing, and what she would do makes me feel good about whatever it is I choose to do next at that point. So she will be greatly missed. She will be fondly remembered. She was a beautiful soul, a beautiful woman. She's now with all the people we love that have gone before us, so I'm excited for her about that. And just wish that we all take with us forward the type of memories that she inspired of living such a beautiful, well-rounded, well-lived life, that we should all be so fortunate. But we will miss her, because she was a bright light, and we love her very much.
Therefore, my heart is glad and my soul rejoices. My body also dwells secure. You, O Lord, have shown me the path of life. In your presence there is fullness of joy. Eternal God, you have shared with us the life of Joyce Hagen. Before she was ours, she is yours. For all that Joyce has given us to make us what we are, for that of her which lives and grows in each of us, and for her love that in your love will never end with you.
There it is. There you go.
We love you. We miss you.
We're saying hi to Aunt Rose.
Debbie Good.
There you go.
Debbie Good.
Yeah, not bad. Not the other one.
I'm Chris's younger brother.
Yeah. You know Sandy.
Just shooting video, so you don't have to do anything special. You can just say hi. Hi, Rose. All that.
You didn't want the thorn between the roses.
Yeah. I'm just being a voyeur. I gotta see my mom tomorrow. She's gonna love to see all you. Say hi to Rosie.
Hey, Rose, love you, honey.
Yay. So, yeah, you can just say hi. I'm gonna see my mom tomorrow. Say hi to my mom.
Rose.
Say hi to Aunt Rose.
Oh, hi, Rose.
Yay. I'll see her. Yay. Hi. Yeah, more. You from Joyce?
I was thinking about those mice because I always thought they were so neat, and I was wishing I would have them, and here I am. I have.
Nice.
Thanks to Chris.
Thanks to Anna and Jen and Jackie.
Yeah.